Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Just Spooky lah. In this episode, we're kind of stepping out of houses and hotels and going to somewhere where a little bit more outdoors, right? Why I say outdoors? Because one of the stories I'm going to tell actually is a place that I visit relatively often, or used to visit relatively often, which was a football field. But before I get into that, I just want to sort of set back or just go back a little bit to time where I was working with a company. Okay, this was in circa 2009, 2010. They used to travel quite a fair bit with them down south. I'm not going to say where. And there was this abandoned place that we needed to go through. So it's abandoned, but it's got a lot of assets within the place, right? So what we needed to do was we needed to label the assets, get people to come in, buy the assets, then stay there until they ship everything out. So during this point, the first visit was during the day where we had to go in, we had to label individually the stuff one by one, and you had to count. Okay, so that was fine. The second visit, we had to go back again because a potential vendor wanted to purchase wanted to have a look at the place, and we had to go into one specific room. I can't really remember what the room was, but all I know it had big rolls of what looked like cloth. Yeah. And so we went in, torchlight. The guy was like, bro, boleh tak kau scan sikit dengan torchlight kau? I'm like, okay, can, no problem. So I scanned with the torchlight. So this incident, really, I kind of blacked it out of my mind, like completely removed it, because I had to work there for a foreseeable future. Yeah. And as I'm scanning this, so there's literally rolls of, from what I remember, it looked like cloth. It could be cloth, it could be some kind of synthetic, I don't know, right? So as I'm scanning through, in the far corner, I saw something which looked like a figure, and as I moved past and I came back again, it wasn't there, right? So initially I thought that it could have been it was a shadow cast from something that was in front of me. But I remember that there was nobody standing in front of me. Yeah. So I remember that I got big goosebumps from that incident. I kind of just stopped thinking about it and, didn't want to think about it anymore. I was in my early 20s, mid 20s. So then, especially after what you heard last week about the shadow when I was in my teens, hearing when this happened, because of the fear that I had, I just kind of blacked everything out. So I literally pushed everything to the back of my mind, try not to think about it. So, then while we were there, you hear the stories of the security guards. Again, not really want to tell their stories, but to set context, the gardener who works there said one day he was cutting the grass in the evening and he saw a lady walking in the middle of the field towards him, and she had a white gown. Right. Okay. And then the other one was a security guard who said that he was at the back of the building, and as he's walking back from the building to come to the front, he hears footsteps behind him. The usual kind of haunting thing. Maybe not the woman in the field. I just honestly think that the gardener was tired, or he was not focused. Because no way is there going to be a woman in a white gown in the middle of the field in the evening while you are cutting grass. He said the lalang, the weeds, were up to his stomach, and this guy was taller than me, right? And then Okay, and then on top of that, right, the story that he used to tell was that because of this lady, he saw this lady, he fell on a rock, and then he discovered he had diabetes, and all the wounds on his leg never healed. And he said because of that, this lady caused him to have these injuries. Like, that is very superstitious. Okay. Yeah. So these are the kind of stories that I heard, when we were there. We refused, we had to stay there a couple of times, almost literally overnight until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, because people were just in the front of the building when people were just moving stuff in and out, and we had to observe them, right, as the third party. So yeah, that was the one incident which is outdoors. The second one is quite recent. It's a football field, somewhere where I used to venture to quite a fair bit until I kind of slowed down on the football thing. Yeah, kind of slowed down. So I just want to give a little bit of backstory to this place. It's surrounded by, I wouldn't call it a secondary forest, neither would I call it a full-blown forest. It's kind of like in the middle. You've got hills, you've got pathways, stuff like that. Some stories that I've heard is one of the operators who went to switch off the lights after all the games, he saw something sitting on the electrical box. Apparently the guy had a fever for a week. Yeah, and then there have been stories that the referees refused to look up into the trees at night because somebody saw a white thing in the tree. Ugh. Personally, never seen it before. Yeah, don't want to see. Never seen, don't want to see, right? And so the other one was this, where there were cleaners who were living on the ground. They were living on the grounds, and they were asked to move equipment around. He went to move this particular piece of equipment, which he actually had put there before, and couldn't move it back after. So it was just stuck. Okay, so when somebody told me this, when I first heard this, I was like, yeah, why couldn't he just use a trolley or, get somebody else to help him? How do you even put it there in the first place? I mean, you can't be carrying it by yourself. I'm pretty sure you had to use a trolley or something to get it there. And then the story continued that he turned, so the object's in front of him, he turned to look, and something looked back at him. Oh gosh. Oh man. When I heard that story, my heart raced like, oh my gosh. And when I heard the story, I was there at that place. Yeah. And so then the cleaner told this figure that, hey, I need to move this because boss saya suruh. So please tolong jangan kacau. Saya nak buat benda ni so I boleh just carry on with my life. The figure looked at him and it disappeared, and he could lift that thing after that. He could move it. Bro, why? Spooky? Damn spooky, bro. So that was the story that I heard. So now coming back to my story. When we used to play there, right, because it's a secondary forest, behind the fence, so the balls go over the fence, right, and it goes into that area which is a small little jungle. So me and a friend went in. Okay, we walked down so it's basically you have a little pathway that goes down into the area, and then it sort of just goes into the jungle, right? So at the midway point from the field to this jungle, there's a log. So we had to climb over the log to go and look for the ball. And the balls that were there were not cheap ones. If you're telling me the ball was like 69, 79 ringgit, I would have just said, you know what, forget it. The balls that we're talking about cost 200-300 ringgit. And we're like, okay, we don't want to lose this ball. So we go into the forest. We have these new torchlights which are LED, and it's like don't know how many lumens, whatever it's called. It's bright. bright. Literally, you can shine and see everything. So we were inside there for a good 5-10 minutes. And I noted during that time that it became a little bit colder. So when I say it's colder, it's not like a breeze or rain chill. Temperature just dropped around me. Okay? And I already started to feel a little bit uneasy about this whole thing. So I turned around and I told my friend, I said, yo, let's go. Okay? We can come back in the morning to find it. So we start making our way back from inside there to go. And I'm noting that I know there's only two of us, so you can actually hear our feet was pretty much in sync. You know, the movement of our feet was pretty much in sync. So as we reach the log, he's right behind me. I stop. He stops. And probably a give or take about a second later, I heard 3 or 4 footsteps behind. And these are not animal footsteps because they're very heavy, right? And in that area, that place, probably the biggest thing that you would find is maybe likely a cat or a dog. Right? There are some cats and some dogs that roam around there. And this was 11 plus, almost 12 at night. But it was just too heavy to be a cat or a dog. The pace of it was very human-like. And man, I don't like telling stories because I get goosebumps and then I can't sleep at night. So I told my friend, I said, hey bro, let's just get out of here. And I just looked at him. I don't know whether he understood. But he looked at me and he said, okay. Off we went, climbed the log, went back out to the field. The moment I went back to the field, it's like it was a completely different place, right? It was so easy to breathe. It was freedom. It was freeing. So I didn't want to look for any footballs at that particular time, purely because of fear. Yeah. So I think what I must also say is that when we were walking out of that, as we passed the fence, it felt like it was a boundary. So that boundary was where it couldn't come out, and that's why when we stepped onto the field where there were more people and there were lights, it just kind of stopped there and made things very free. Yeah. So basically that's the end of episode 2. I want to leave you with a preview of episode 3. It's going to be personal. I'm going to be interviewing somebody who is very close to me, is very dear to me. He's someone who does not only feel or hear, but he can talk to them. This person is my dad. So yeah, if you think back to episode 1 where somebody told me that I shouldn't be staying downstairs past a certain time, it was him. So look out for episode 3 coming to you next week, and I guess I'll see you guys then. Until then, I hope you don't have any unwanted visitors, and if you do, maybe you have a chat with them, hear their stories on why they're here, and you could be a guest on my show. Alright? Thanks guys. Have an excellent weekend ahead.